Welcome to today's Transformation Dive with Earn Flow Zone. Ever feel like you're playing financial whack-a-mole? Just when you think you've handled one money problem, another pops up, and you're swinging wildly, hoping to land a hit before you run out of energy or cash. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that helps you build lasting wealth and freedom, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think, signal boosting this message to others who need it. Drop a comment with where you're watching from, or share your biggest money habit win recently. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Now, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. The unspoken money strain. It's that knot that tightens in your stomach when you glance at your banking app preview. Maybe you don't even open it. You're avoiding it. This isn't just about the digits on a screen. It's about the story those numbers tell you, and more importantly, the story you tell yourself about them. Perhaps you're at the starting line financially. Every single dollar feels like it vanishes into thin air the moment it arrives. You're running on a financial treadmill set to impossible, and every unexpected bill feels less like a bill and more like a full-blown crisis. You look around, seeing others seemingly thriving, and the question echoes, what am I doing wrong? It's easy to feel isolated in this, but the strain isn't exclusive to those just starting out. Maybe you're earning a decent income, even a genuinely good one. You've climbed career ladders, hit milestones that felt significant at the time, yet you still feel insecure. Money is flowing in, sure, but it feels precarious. Your spending habits swing based on your mood, a little retail therapy when stressed, an extravagant dinner to celebrate, followed inevitably by a wave of guilt. You know you should be saving more, investing consistently, building genuine, long-term wealth. You read the books, follow the financial gurus, understand the rules, but something deeper prevents you from consistently playing the game. You might compare yourself to someone making less money, but somehow building assets faster, and it's frankly baffling. Why isn't it clicking for you? Here's a surprising truth. Knowing the technical steps to finance isn't enough if your internal narrative contradicts them. It's like having a perfect recipe, but believing you're a terrible cook. The result won't be great. And then there are the ambitious builders, the hustlers, the entrepreneurs making serious money, chasing massive goals. Even with impressive revenue, you battle internal chaos. The anxiety of losing it all is a constant companion. You struggle to delegate, fearing no one can handle your money or clients like you. Your relationship with money is still a constant chase, fueled by anxiety rather than empowered command. You see competitors operating with calm financial clarity while you're still reacting, driven by an urgency that feels unhealthy despite the external success. You chase the next deal, the next income level, genuinely believing that number will finally bring peace. But the peace never quite lands. The common thread woven through all these scenarios, broke, comfortable, or outwardly wealthy, isn't the external circumstance itself. It's the internal operating system running the show. It's the deeply ingrained beliefs, the automatic emotional reactions, and the unconscious narratives you carry about money. You can budget perfectly, invest like a pro, side hustle your way to success, but if this internal system is corrupted, you are fighting an exhausting uphill battle against yourself. This isn't fundamentally a technical finance problem. It's a human one. It's time to stop fighting the symptoms and understand the real source of your financial reality. Ask yourself, what's the core belief you have about money right now that feels limiting? Even just identifying it is the first step. Okay, let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Think of your mind like a high-powered computer, constantly running processes in the background. When it comes to your financial life, you see the hardware, your job, the income hitting your bank account, your budget spreadsheet, or lack thereof. These are the tangible parts, easy to measure, easy to see. But beneath the surface, there's something far more influential at play. Your money operating system, or your money OS. This isn't something you install. It's a complex, deeply ingrained collection of beliefs, emotions, and subconscious rules about money that you've been downloading since you were a kid. Every overheard conversation, every financial crisis faced by your parents, every success or failure you've had with money has tweaked and updated this OS, and it dictates everything. It controls how you react when money comes in, why you hide bills in a drawer, why you splurge when you're stressed, and ultimately, it's the silent architect behind your financial reality. This money OS is the invisible force that determines your financial outcomes. It's why two people with similar incomes can have vastly different bank balances and levels of financial stress. Imagine Sarah, a talented freelance graphic designer. On paper, she has the skills to earn a great living, but her income is a wild roller coaster. When she lands a big client and a significant payment hits her account, what does she do? Instead of strategically allocating funds for taxes, savings, or future dry spells, she often feels an overwhelming surge of relief, maybe a little disbelief that it's actually there, and immediately splurges on something she's wanted for ages. It's like her system screams, "Quick, enjoy it before it disappears." She's running a classic feast or famine OS, probably programmed by early experiences where money was unpredictable or associated with struggle. It's funny how we can be so rational about our work, but completely emotional about the money it brings in, right? Here's the surprising insight, the real jaw-dropper for many. Sarah's inconsistent income isn't just the nature of freelancing or the market. While those play a role, her money OS is actively contributing to the pattern. Her subconscious belief that money is hard to get and quick to disappear isn't just a passive thought. It influences her actions. It might make her procrastinate on pitching new clients after a big payday, subconsciously thinking, "What's the point? It won't last anyway." Or it might make her less disciplined with her spending, proving her OS right when the money vanishes quickly. Cause and effect in action. The belief leads to the behavior, and the behavior creates the result she fears. Your financial results aren't always a direct reflection of your external circumstances. They are often a perfect mirror of your internal money OS. If your OS is buggy or running outdated programs, your financial hardware will underperform. So how do you start to identify the programs running your own money OS? It begins with awareness. Your action step today is simple but powerful. Reflect on one recent financial decision you made. It could be a large purchase, avoiding paying a bill, making an investment, or even just buying that extra coffee. Now, dig deeper. What was the dominant feeling driving that decision? Was it fear? Maybe fear of missing out? Fear of not having enough? Fear of looking cheap? Was it relief after a stressful period? Was it excitement about the potential of something new? Guilt about spending on yourself? Or maybe guilt about not spending on someone else? Was it a sense of obligation? Pinpointing that core emotion is like finding the root code of the program your OS ran in that moment. It's the first step to debugging your system and writing new, more empowering financial rules for yourself. Okay, let's dive into Section 3 of our Earn Flow Zone script. Section 3 begins. We talk a lot about strategy, budgeting, investing, finding new income streams, and those are absolutely critical. But sometimes, the biggest block isn't what you know, it's how you're programmed. And that program, your unique money operating system, wasn't installed last week when you decided to get serious about your finances. Oh no, this OS has been coding itself, line by line, since you were small enough to peek over the kitchen counter. Think about it. You absorbed it from your parents. Maybe it was explicit, little lectures about saving pennies or warnings about debt. More likely, it was implicit. You overheard their late-night conversations about bills, felt the tension in the air around payday, watched how they splurged or sacrificed. Did they argue about money? Did they hide purchases? Were they constantly stressed? Or did they handle finances with quiet confidence? Or maybe just quiet avoidance? How they spent, how they saved, what they taught you, implicitly or explicitly, about wealth, about debt, about the very concept of earning and work. All of that was data. Raw data streaming directly into your young, impressionable mind. It wasn't just mom and dad either. Your culture, the media you consumed, even Saturday morning cartoons had messages about wealth or lack thereof. Your peer groups, your teachers, those significant financial moments, getting your first allowance, losing pocket money, seeing a friend with something you couldn't have, a family crisis involving money. Maybe even a small win, like finding a $10 bill on the sidewalk. Every single one added lines of code to your developing OS. Perhaps you grew up hearing phrases repeated like a mantra. Money is the root of all evil. We can't afford that, said with a sigh that carried the weight of the world. Or maybe you have to work twice as hard for half as much. Maybe you saw a parent stressed to the breaking point about debt collectors, or another impulse buy luxury items they clearly couldn't afford, creating a confusing mix of scarcity and reckless spending. This wasn't just background noise, it was powerful data programming your early foundational money OS. Here's the genuinely surprising insight, the one that often makes people pause. These childhood inputs weren't objective truths about money or the world. They were filtered perceptions, reactions, fears, and beliefs of the adults around you, shaped by their experiences and their programming. Your parents' stress about bills wasn't necessarily the universal truth about money. It was their response to their financial situation at that time, based on their money OS. That means the foundation of your financial mindset might be built on someone else's potentially flawed or limited software version. And you've been running that version, probably without even realizing it ever since. It's like inheriting an old computer with pre-installed software you never chose. The cause effect is clear. These early, unexamined inputs often directly cause the limiting beliefs, anxieties, or unconscious habits that hold you back today. You might be self-sabotaging because deep down, a little voice programmed years ago still whispers that money is bad, or that you're not the kind of person who gets it. So let's start exploring the source code. Your action today, right now. Grab a notebook or just use your phone notes. Jot down 3 to 5 vivid memories related to money from your childhood or teenage years. Don't filter them, just let them surface. What were the dominant feelings in those memories? What were the explicit or implicit messages you received about money, wealth, work, or debt? This one habit of acknowledging the source can change everything by giving you awareness. All right, let's talk about something crucial, those hidden glitches in your financial programming. You see, just like a computer comes with an operating system, your brain has a money OS, and often this OS comes pre-installed with common bugs or limiting beliefs that wreak havoc on your potential. These aren't just random thoughts, they are deeply ingrained programs. Beliefs like, "I'm bad with money." Sounds harmless, right? But it's a bug that tells you not to bother learning, reinforcing the feeling of inadequacy. Or, rich people are greedy. This bug creates an aversion to wealth, subconsciously pushing opportunities away. There's never enough is a scarcity bug that breeds anxiety and prevents smart planning. Saving is pointless is a classic, leading to a leaky financial bucket. And money is stressful is a bug that makes you avoid looking at your finances altogether. Here's the punchline. These aren't facts. They are programming errors that create predictable negative outcomes in your life. Almost like your financial software is stuck in an infinite loop of fail. Let's look at Mark, a mid-career professional you might know or even recognize a bit of yourself in. By all accounts, Mark is skilled, hardworking, and delivers great results. Yet, he consistently under-earns compared to his peers in similar roles. It's not that he's not good enough. It's that deep down, his internal money OS includes a stubborn bug. A belief that asking for more isn't polite, or perhaps, I'm not really worth that much compared to others. Think of it as a silent firewall blocking him from financial progress. The surprising insight here, and it's a big one that changes everything, is that Mark's financial ceiling isn't actually set by the market rate for his skills, the economy, or even how good he is at his job. It's set by his internal belief about his own value. His OS literally prevents him from actively pursuing higher-paying opportunities or negotiating effectively when they arise. It's like having a super-fast internet connection, but your browser is stuck in dial-up speed because of a hidden setting. This bug dictates his actions, or lack thereof, and manifests directly in his bank account. The cause? A belief. The effect? Under-earning and stagnation. Identifying these bugs is the first critical step to debugging your system. It's like running an antivirus scan on your deepest convictions about money and yourself. This won't be easy. Some of these bugs have been running in the background for decades. But the good news is, once identified, they can be rewritten. Your action today, right now. Identify just one limiting belief you suspect you might hold about money or your ability to earn or manage it. It doesn't have to be profound or fully understood. Just name it. Write it down if you can. Acknowledging the bug is the first step to fixing it. Is it, "I'm bad with numbers"? "I'll never get out of debt"? "Making money requires shady behavior"? Pick one you suspect is slowing down your money OS. Just naming it gives you power over it. All right, picking up from where we left off. Building this robust financial foundation isn't just about spreadsheets and savings accounts. It goes deeper, into the very code running your internal system. Section 5. OS bugs drive your actions. You see, your beliefs aren't just passive thoughts hanging around in your head. Think of them as the operating system, or OS, of your personal finance world. And trust me, These programs actively drive your behaviors, often in ways you don't even consciously realize. If your OS has a scarcity bug, what happens when money lands in your account? You might find yourself suddenly hoarding it, terrified it'll disappear tomorrow, or, paradoxically, impulse spending it all, feeling you need to get it while you can before it vanishes. Both behaviors stem from that same deep fear that there's never enough. Maybe your financial OS has an avoidance bug. This is the program that makes you flinch away from anything money-related. Bank statements? Unopened mail piling up? It's not laziness. It's often a profound fear of what you might find. A program running that says ignorance is bliss, or perhaps more accurately, ignorance is temporary relief from anxiety. You bury your head in the sand because the OS predicts pain or overwhelm if you confront the reality. Then there's the shame OS. This one tells you that your financial mistakes, your debt, your past choices are somehow a reflection of your personal worth. This program drives you to hide things from your partner, your friends, maybe even from yourself. You keep secrets because the OS screams if they knew, they'd judge you, leading to isolation and preventing you from getting help or support. Let's look at Jessica. She pulls in a really good salary, the kind most people would envy. Yet, month after month, she lives paycheck to paycheck, her credit card balances creeping ever higher. What's going on? Her financial OS is running programs like Money Means Freedom, Buy What You Want Now, and Everyone Has Debt, It's Totally Normal. So when payday hits, her OS interprets it as permission to indulge, to experience that fleeting freedom of spending. When she decides she's had enough and tries to set a budget, what happens? Her OS rebels. It triggers anxiety, makes her feel deprived, like she's missing out or being unfairly restricted. This discomfort is so powerful that it often drives her right back to her old spending habits, seeking the temporary relief and perceived freedom that those behaviors provide. The OS is fighting to maintain the status quo, to keep running its familiar programs, even if those programs are clearly dysfunctional. Here's the surprising insight, and it's a big one that could change everything for you. You are not inherently bad with money. That's a myth the broken OS tells you. You're simply running the program you were given, perhaps from childhood, from observing your parents, from cultural messages, or even from past painful experiences, or a program you've developed over time as a coping mechanism. Your OS is actually designed to keep you safe according to its outdated, often fear-based rules. It's trying to protect you from perceived threats, like scarcity, failure, or judgment. The tragedy is, the very programs designed for survival in the past are often the ones keeping you stuck and preventing your growth today. It's like trying to run demanding modern software on a 20-year-old computer. It's not the computer's fault it's slow, it's the operating system holding it back. Your action for today, right now. Describe one recurring negative financial behavior you exhibit. It could be impulse buying, avoiding looking at bills, consistently overspending on one category, lending money you can't afford to lose. Don't judge it, just observe it. Then, ask yourself, how does it feel right before you do it? What sensation or thought pops up? How does it feel during the behavior itself? Is there a rush, a relief, a numbing? And critically, how does it feel after you've done it? Is there regret, shame, anxiety, or just a return to the baseline? Understanding the emotional loop connected to the behavior is key to identifying the underlying OS program. This one habit, this practice of observing without judgment, changed everything for me, because it shifts the focus from blaming yourself to understanding the program. Understanding this link between your feelings and your actions is the first step to rewriting that old code. Let's move on now to how we can begin to identify the source code of these programs. Okay, we've talked about the landscape, maybe some of the apps you're running on your current system. But let's get really fundamental. What if your entire Money OS, your operating system for finance and growth, wasn't just functional, but was designed for growth, clarity, and undeniable empowerment? Imagine hitting a major software update, not on your phone, but on the deep-seated beliefs and attitudes that govern every financial decision you make. This isn't some fluffy positive thinking exercise where you stare at a mirror and chant, "I am rich." Though hey, no judgment. This is about consciously installing software that actively supports your goals, rather than that old, glitchy program that keeps crashing or running annoying pop-ups of doubt and scarcity. Think of it like upgrading from dial-up internet to fiber optic speed for your financial mind. That old system might run on beliefs like, "Money is evil, I'm just not good with numbers, there's never enough," or "Saving is just giving up fun." It's like a virus in your system, constantly sabotaging your efforts. But what if your new OS ran on powerful, clean code? What if it ran on beliefs like, "Money is a tool I control, not something that controls me. I am capable of building wealth step by simple step. There is abundant opportunity for me to earn and grow. Financial health and freedom are absolutely achievable." This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about seeing reality through a lens that empowers you to act effectively within it. It's the difference between looking at a mountain and thinking, "I could never climb that," versus, "Okay, where's the first step?" Take David, for instance. Maybe you know someone like him, or maybe you are David. He grew up in a household where money was a constant source of stress and perceived lack. His default OS was money is scarce and hard to keep. But David consciously decided to upgrade. He worked on installing new beliefs. Now, he sees saving not as giving up fun or depriving myself, but as actively building security, creating future opportunity, and gaining peace of mind. He sees earning more not as being greedy or selling out, but as increasing his capacity to impact his own life, support his loved ones, and contribute to things he cares about. It's the exact same actions, saving, earning, but running on completely different, far more powerful software. The cause, the belief, drives the effect, the feeling and the consistent action. Here's the surprising insight, the hidden feature in your new OS. Money itself doesn't actually have inherent power over you. It's an inanimate object, a concept. It's your relationship with it, the meaning you assign to it, the beliefs you hold about it that gives it its power in your life. A healthy, upgraded OS flips that script entirely, putting you back in control. You become the programmer, not just the user struggling with a buggy interface. So here is your first crucial installation command, your action today. Let's reboot your perspective for just a moment. Close your eyes for 60 seconds. What would be different in your day-to-day life? How would decisions feel? How would your stress levels change? Really feel it. This isn't just dreaming. It's setting the coordinates for your system update. Welcome to today's transformation dive into building the financial life you truly deserve. Let's be honest for a second. We live in a world obsessed with upgrades. New phones, new apps, new cars. We wouldn't dream of running outdated software on our computers, right? It's slow, it's buggy, it leaves us vulnerable. And yet most people are running a financial operating system, a money OS that was installed decades ago, often during childhood. Based on beliefs and experiences that might be completely irrelevant or even actively harmful to their life today. You know the feeling. That knot in your stomach when the bill arrives. The weird guilt after buying something you actually need. The awkward silence when money comes up in conversation. That's not you failing. That's your old, buggy OS trying to run complex modern programs. This isn't about complicated spreadsheets or mastering the stock market overnight. Those are the apps you run on your system. What we're talking about here is upgrading the core software, your fundamental beliefs, feelings, and behaviors around money. It's about building a system that supports growth, creates flow, and gives you peace of mind. It's about switching from scarcity mode to opportunity mode. Think of it like finally installing that essential security update or boosting your processing speed. Everything just runs smoother, faster, more reliably. If you're tired of hitting the same financial walls, if you suspect there's something deeper holding you back than just your income or expenses, then you're in the right place. This isn't just financial advice. It's a deeper look at the connection between your inner world and your external results. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. Drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Changing your money OS, the very foundation of your financial reality, starts not with complex budgeting apps or investment strategies, but with radical self-honesty. It requires a deep dive into understanding exactly what's running behind the scenes right now. This isn't about judgment. It's about diagnosis. Think of your financial history, your past decisions, your current habits, even your mistakes, not as a list of personal failures, but as crucial data points. They are simply showing you your current OS in action. It's like looking at crash reports to figure out what's wrong with the software, rather than just blaming the user for clicking the wrong button. Consider the example of Brian. Brian came from a family where money was always tight, and spending was associated with guilt or extravagance. As an adult, he found himself constantly stressed about money. Even when he was earning a decent income, he'd feel physically anxious before checking his bank balance and intensely guilty after spending money, even on things he needed, like a new pair of work shoes or a much-needed haircut. This guilt wasn't just an occasional feeling. It was a core part of his relationship with money. It was his OS screaming, "Alert! Spending detected! Deploy guilt protocol." By starting a simple journaling practice, just noting down how he felt whenever money came up, he began to see a pattern. He traced that deep-seated guilt back to a childhood belief that money is scarce and should never be enjoyed. Spending felt wrong because it went against this core programming. This is where things get surprising, even counterintuitive for many. We tend to focus on the external actions, the overspending, the undersaving, the avoiding bills. But the true leverage for change lies in the feelings and thoughts these actions trigger. Or that trigger the actions themselves. That knot in your stomach before you check your bank balance? That impulse to immediately buy something fun when you get paid? That wave of anxiety when a friend asks about your financial goals? Those specific feelings, the anxiety, the guilt, the fear, even the sudden urge for impulsive pleasure, are not character flaws. They are like error messages or system alerts popping up from your deep-seated money OS. They show you the underlying code that's running. If you always feel slightly defensive talking about money, perhaps your OS has a line of code saying, "Money is private and unsafe to discuss." If you feel anxious when you don't check your bank account multiple times a day, maybe your OS is running a constant vigilance, disaster imminent protocol. The core concept here is simple but profound. Your emotional response to money is the most direct indicator of your underlying financial beliefs and programming. Ignoring these feelings is like ignoring a persistent check engine light on your dashboard. You can keep driving, but you're not addressing the root cause. The decision to consciously observe and understand these feelings is the critical first step in installing a new, healthier money OS. It's one of the most powerful habits you can build, and frankly, it changed everything for me when I started doing it. Your action today, the practical first step in this diagnosis phase. For the next 3 days, become a detective of your own mind and heart when it comes to money. Whenever you think about money, interact with money, buying coffee, paying a bill, getting paid, or even just see something related to money, like an ad or an article title. Write down the first thought that comes to mind and the very first feeling you notice. No filtering, no judgment, just observation. Put it in a note on your phone, a small notebook, or even just a dedicated document. This simple habit might feel small, but it starts revealing the invisible code that's been running your financial life. Try this for 3 days and prepare to be surprised by what you find. As we wind down this exploration of your money OS, take a moment to appreciate the courage it takes to even consider this level of self-examination. It's not easy to look at deeply held beliefs, especially those tied to something as emotionally charged as money. But this diagnosis phase, this act of shining a light on the hidden code running your system, is the single biggest determinant of your future financial freedom. The one big takeaway is this: awareness precedes change. You cannot rewrite code you cannot see. The potential long-term benefit of doing this inner work is immense. It's not just about having more money in the bank. It's about freeing up mental and emotional energy. It's about experiencing peace instead of anxiety, confidence instead of fear, and genuine enjoyment instead of guilt when managing your finances. Imagine making financial decisions from a place of clarity and power, rather than being driven by outdated fears or limiting beliefs. That's not just financial growth. That's profound personal growth that spills over into every area of your life. Here's a deeper insight. Money is fundamentally neutral. It's an inert tool, a medium of exchange. The power, the fear, the joy, the stress, all of that comes from the meaning we assign to it, based on our OS. By understanding and upgrading that OS, you take back your power. You change the meaning, and in doing so, you change your reality. It's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix, but the momentum you build by starting this diagnosis is incredible. It's like finally getting your operating system running smoothly. Now, you can install those powerful applications for wealth building and financial stability. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Okay, so you've nailed down one of those sticky beliefs. Maybe something like, I'm just bad with money, or money is hard to come by. Great job getting specific. That was the crucial first step, like finding the glitch in your system's code. Now, for Section 8 of our journey in the Earn Flow Zone, we move to the next stage, challenging the corrupted code. This isn't just about saying that belief isn't true. That's like telling a virus to just leave. It doesn't work. Challenging means bringing in the heavy artillery, logic, evidence, and cold, hard facts. You take that belief and you put it on trial. Is it 100% true every single time, in every situation? You have to ask the prosecuting questions. Think of yourself as a financial detective cross-examining this supposed truth. Have there ever been instances, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, where you did manage money well? Did you save up for something specific? Did you stick to a small budget for a week? Did you avoid an impulse purchase just once? Any small win counts as a piece of counter-evidence. You are actively searching for data points that contradict this deeply held, often emotionally charged program running in your brain. This is where logic steps into the ring with what has likely been an emotional response or an inherited program passed down through generations, maybe even unconsciously. Take Sarah, our freelance friend. She started seeing that her ingrained feast or famine financial OS wasn't just bad luck. It was rooted in watching her parents constantly struggle, living paycheck to paycheck. That experience coded her to believe money wasn't stable, that it would always disappear. But she didn't stop at identifying it. She challenged it head-on by asking, is money actually guaranteed to disappear for everyone? Is instability the only financial reality? She started looking outside her immediate experience. She looked at examples of stable businesses, people who built consistent income, families who saved and invested successfully. The surprising insight that hit her, and this might hit you too, is that many of your deepest, most limiting money beliefs are based on seriously outdated or incomplete information. They often stem from a time before you had adult understanding, adult control, or even a full picture of how the world works financially. Imagine basing your navigation system solely on a map drawn when you were 5 years old. It's going to be missing a lot of roads. You have the power now as an adult to cross-examine these old, potentially faulty beliefs. You wouldn't accept a job offer based on rumors you heard in 3rd grade. So why let a money belief you absorbed as a kid dictate your financial future? The cause-effect here is profound. When you actively seek evidence that disproves your limiting belief, you chip away at its foundation. You show your brain that the old corrupted code isn't accurate, making room for a new, more empowering program to be installed. Your action today, right now, pick just one limiting belief you've identified. Write it down. Underneath it, write down 3 to 5 pieces of evidence, no matter how trivial they seem, that disprove or directly challenge that belief. It could be as simple as belief, I'm bad with money. Evidence, I paid off that small credit card balance. Evidence, I stuck to my grocery budget last week. Evidence, I managed to save $50 last month. This isn't about perfection. It's about finding the exceptions that prove the rule is not universally true. This one habit of questioning your ingrained financial assumptions is powerful. It's like finding out that stubborn weed in your financial garden isn't as tough as it looks. A little consistent pulling will loosen its grip. Section 9. Installing new programs. You've identified the old programs running in the background, the outdated, buggy beliefs that have been slowing you down, maybe even causing crashes in your financial life. Challenging those old beliefs isn't just about deleting the bad. It's about creating the necessary space for something better, something new to take root. Think of it like upgrading your phone's operating system or getting rid of all that digital clutter and installing fresh, high-performance software. What positive, empowering beliefs do you choose to install? This is where the conscious decision comes in. You are the administrator of your own internal system. No one else gets to decide what code runs in your brain. You get to write the script. Write these chosen beliefs down. Make them tangible. See them on paper or on your screen. This act alone is a powerful declaration of intent. Then, repeat them. Read them aloud. Internalize them. This is the installation process, running the program over and over, letting it load into your system memory, overriding the old, clunky code. It might feel awkward at first, like using a new app. You stumble, you click the wrong buttons, it doesn't feel intuitive yet. That's okay. The crucial, game-changing step? Act as if they are true. Even if your gut screams they're not, even if your results haven't caught up yet, behave according to the new program. This is like beta testing the software in the real world. You're training your brain and the universe to respond to the updated version of you. It's slightly uncomfortable, maybe even a little bit like method acting, where you fully embody a character, even off stage. But this is where the transformation becomes real. Think about Mark. He was stuck in the under-earner loop, his old software whispering, "My skills are valuable, but not that valuable. I don't deserve more." It was a program running on repeat, influencing his actions without him even consciously agreeing to it. He decided to install a new program. "My skills are valuable, and I deserve fair compensation." He wrote it down. He repeated it. And then he started acting as if. He began practicing negotiating in low-stakes situations, like asking for small discounts. This wasn't just saving a few bucks. It was rehearsing the feeling of asserting his value. He wasn't focusing on his fear of rejection, the old program's default setting. He was focusing on articulating his value proposition, preparing to ask for a raise with quiet confidence. Here's the truly surprising insight, the one that might just flip your understanding of how you're wired. Your brain doesn't perfectly distinguish between a deeply held belief ingrained over years and a belief you are consciously choosing to adopt and reinforce through repetition and action. It's like the difference between a software program that came pre-installed on your computer and one you intentionally downloaded and use every day. Both become part of the operational system. You can literally reprogram yourself, overriding old limitations with new capabilities. This one habit changed everything for Mark, shifting him from passively accepting his income to actively pursuing what he deserved. Your action today, right now, is simple but profound. Write down one positive, empowering belief you want to hold about money, your financial capability, or your ability to earn and grow wealth. Just one. Make it concise. Then read it aloud 5 times today. Not just in your head. Aloud. Let your ears hear it. Let your voice speak it into existence. This is you initiating the installation process. Try this for a week, repeating your chosen belief aloud 5 times every day. Watch how your perspective and slowly your actions begin to shift. Okay, so you've been doing the work. You've been diving deep into your internal money OS, challenging old beliefs, installing new programs for abundance and control. That's amazing progress. But here's where the real magic kicks in, the point where the abstract becomes actionable, where your upgraded internal system drives tangible, consistent financial results in the external world. This is where connecting your internal beliefs to your external actions becomes non-negotiable. Think of it like this. You can download the most advanced fitness tracking app. That's your new Money OS. But it won't make you run faster or lift more weight unless you actually go to the gym or hit the pavement. That's your external financial actions. The powerful Money OS you're building isn't just for feeling good. It's the engine that makes the doing possible and, dare I say, enjoyable. Suddenly, budgeting stops feeling like a straitjacket of deprivation and starts feeling like holding the steering wheel of your financial future. It's intentional control, a blueprint you're drawing, not a punishment you're enduring. Saving shifts from feeling like you're sacrificing joy today to feeling like you're actively building your freedom tomorrow. You're not missing out. You're opting in to future possibilities. And investing, it becomes less about scary risks and confusing jargon, and more about partnering with growth, seeing potential, not just uncertainty, because your upgraded OS can process opportunity. Let's look at Jessica, the high earner we talked about earlier, weighed down by debt. For years, her internal OS was running the program, "Debt is normal, unavoidable, maybe even a sign you're living large, and definitely a source of shame." Paying off debt felt like bailing water from a leaky boat, pointless and exhausting. But when she consciously shifted her core belief to debt is a temporary obstacle, financial freedom is my absolute non-negotiable goal, everything changed. Suddenly, every dollar she put towards debt wasn't a painful goodbye to spending money. It was a high five to her future self, a tangible step closer to her chosen reality. It became genuinely easier for her to cut unnecessary spending because it wasn't about can't have, deprivation OS. It was about don't need that right now because this is more important, freedom-aligned OS. She wasn't resisting temptation. She was naturally drawn towards actions that supported her new internal programming. And here's the surprising truth, the myth bust hiding in plain sight. Financial disciplines like budgeting, saving, or consistent investing aren't hard because you're bad at math or lack willpower. They are incredibly difficult, often impossible to sustain when they are in direct conflict with your underlying, unexamined beliefs and feelings about money. You're trying to drive forward while your subconscious foot is firmly on the brake. But when your internal system, your beliefs, your feelings, your core programming is aligned with your external goals, those actions stop being a grueling uphill battle and become almost intuitive. They feel right. They feel easy. They feel like progress. Your action today is simple, but profound. Choose one small financial habit you've struggled with. Just one. Maybe it's tracking one specific expense category, like dining out, the silent killer of budgets. Or maybe it's committing to saving just $5. It feels small, right? But the power isn't in the dollar amount. It's in the connection. Try doing that one small thing today, consciously connecting it, linking it directly to your new, chosen positive belief about money or your future. As you track that expense, think, this is clarity, building my control. As you save that $5, think, This is freedom, growing dollar by dollar. Experience the difference when your internal world supports your external action. All right, you've done the hard work. You've identified the old financial operating system, the Money OS, the one running on scarcity, fear, or maybe just unconscious defaults. You've started installing the upgrade, the new software built on awareness, intentionality, and empowered choices. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. Changing your Money OS isn't a one-time installation, like clicking Finish on Setup and walking away forever. It's ongoing maintenance. Think of it like committing to a fitness routine. Hitting your initial goal is awesome, but staying fit requires consistent effort, showing up even when you don't feel like it, and adjusting as you go. Your financial fitness is exactly the same. Because guess what? Life happens. Stress hits. Unexpected events throw you a curveball. When that pressure is on, those old patterns, those old fears encoded in your original Money OS might try to resurface. It's like your computer hitting a glitch and the old, clunky startup program tries to boot up instead of your sleek new interface. This is not failure. It's just your old software defaults trying to run the show again because that's what it knows under pressure. Your job isn't to beat yourself up for it. Your job is to recognize it, acknowledge it without judgment. Seriously, no self-flagellation allowed. And then consciously, deliberately choose to run the new program. Take David, for instance. Years after he consciously redesigned his Money OS, building incredible savings and financial resilience, he got hit with a large, totally unexpected home repair bill. The old software tried to kick in. He felt that familiar twinge of scarcity, that little voice whispering panic. Where will this money come from? What if everything goes wrong? But here's the mastery. Instead of spiraling into that old fear-driven reaction, he noticed the feeling. He didn't identify with it. He just observed it, like watching a cloud pass by. He acknowledged the feeling, took a deep breath, and then consciously reminded himself of his capabilities, his resources, the principles of his new Money OS. He calmly assessed the situation based on reality, not fear, looking at his emergency fund, his cash flow, and potential solutions. The surprising insight here, the myth many people bust on their journey, is that true financial mastery isn't about reaching a point where you never have a negative money thought or feeling again. That's like trying to build a mental fortress no outside thought can ever penetrate. Impossible. Instead, true mastery is about developing the awareness to catch those old thoughts and feelings when they pop up, recognizing them for what they are, just remnants of the old code, and building the skill to consciously respond from your empowered, intention-driven OS, rather than reacting instinctively from the fearful old one. It's the difference between being controlled by your money thoughts and consciously controlling your financial actions despite your initial thoughts. This requires practice, vigilance, and regular check-ins. It's an active process, not a passive state. It's like a video game where you unlock new abilities, but you still need to remember to use them strategically when challenges arise, rather than just mashing the basic attack button you started with. This one habit changed everything for me. Simply checking in. So your action today, your critical piece of maintenance, is this. Schedule 5 minutes sometime this week. Put it in your calendar right now to simply check in with yourself about your money feelings. How are you feeling about your finances today? Are there any old worries bubbling up? Any twinges of scarcity or fear? No action is needed during this 5 minutes. Just awareness. Just notice. This simple act builds the core muscle of recognition you need to maintain your empowered money OS. You've just taken a crucial step, one many people overlook for decades. You've explored the most powerful lever you have in your financial life, your internal money operating system. Think of it like the invisible software running your entire financial machine. It's the underlying code dictating your results, regardless of your income level, the stock market's performance, or any external circumstances. We peeled back the layers, looking at where this OS comes from, often installed unknowingly during childhood or through past experiences, how it can create stubborn, frustrating problems, and crucially, how you can consciously begin the essential upgrade process. It starts by identifying those old, limiting beliefs, challenging their validity, and then installing new, empowering ones that actually align with the financial future you genuinely want. But here's the stark, unavoidable reality, the part nobody likes to talk about, but absolutely must. If you choose to ignore this vital internal work, if you keep running on the default, often buggy, outdated software, you will almost certainly stay trapped in the same financial loops. It's like trying to run the latest high-resolution video game on a computer from the 90s. You're going to get glitches, freezes, and crashes. The broke beginner who feels anxious and avoidant around money will likely remain anxious and avoidant, even if they land a higher-paying job. The mid-earner who constantly feels insecure about their finances and finds ways to sabotage savings goals. They'll continue that pattern, no matter how many different budgeting apps they download or financial seminars they attend. The ambitious builder, tirelessly chasing external numbers, hitting milestone after milestone financially, yet never finding internal peace or truly leveraging their resources effectively. They're stuck too, in a different kind of trap, but a trap nonetheless. You'll keep running the same buggy, outdated software, perpetually getting the same frustrating errors and crashes. Financial anxiety, persistent stress, opportunities missed because you couldn't see them or act on them, unfulfilled potential. This is the silent, ongoing cost of an unexamined money OS. It's not just about the money itself, it's profoundly about the freedom, the deep-seated peace of mind, and the sheer possibility for a richer, more intentional life that you are sacrificing, often without even realizing it. It sounds dramatic, maybe even a little harsh, but sometimes you need to look directly at the cost to find the motivation to change. But please, breathe. Because the truly good news, the liberating truth in all of this, is that awareness is always the first step, and you have just taken it. You now know, with a clarity you might not have had before, that it's not just you, or the economy, or some streak of bad luck following you around like a lost puppy. There is an internal system at play, a money OS, and critically, you do have the power to change it, to upgrade it, to make it work for you instead of against you. This transformation isn't about becoming a millionaire overnight, though honestly, that becomes significantly more likely and sustainable when your OS is aligned and supportive. It's about building a healthy, empowered, and conscious relationship with money that truly supports a life of intention, purpose, and flow, rather than a life defined by just chasing digits on a screen or living in constant financial tension. As we wrap up today's journey, let this sink in. The absolute single most important thing you can do right now, today, without delay, is incredibly simple. It's not about fixing anything yet. Don't feel pressured to build a budget tomorrow. Don't worry about investment strategies this afternoon. Just observe. Increase your awareness, even just a tiny bit. Your final, concrete step for today, a tiny seed for massive future growth, is this. Set a timer for just 3 minutes, perhaps right after this video ends, and simply write down, or if you're somewhere you can't write, just quiet your mind and think about the very first feeling or thought that genuinely comes to mind when you hear or see the word money. Don't judge it. Don't filter it. Don't try to make it sound better than it is. Just capture that raw, initial data point, that single observation, that one honest feeling or thought is the genuine starting point of your essential OS upgrade. Do that today. Because in the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.